Okay, I'm so happy to be with these awesome guys. We got Luke, we got Nate here from Blurry Creatures.
Yeah, buddy.
Guys, welcome.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us. This is awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
I want to just jump into the whole
Yeah.
thing here. You know, you guys have a very unique space. I have people that go to BlurryCon. They reach out to me. They take selfies there. They're like, have you seen what these guys are doing? And I just think it's amazing. We got some mutual friends. I just love it. Now, I guess the big question is, one is I want to find out what some of the craziest stuff you've seen is. And I'm sure you hear that all the time when you do interviews. But then how did Blurry Creatures start? Like, where did that begin?
Oh, where do we go first? Let's start with it started in the genesis of Blurry.
Yeah, Blurry, I mean, started back in the day, back in the station wagon, Luke. And a 1987 Cutlass, Capri, Chevy Capri.
I know that car.
Remember the Chevy Capri?
Was it the old wooden sides?
It was a tan. I don't think it had the wooden side. If it did, that'd be even cooler. But listening to, I don't know. I remember being a kid listening to stories of angels and demons, like Banter. We were listening to a lot of. I was texting with Michael W. Smith last week because I was like telling him, "You need to come on Blurry Creatures," because my sister was in this play, and it was about a high school kid that dies and goes to heaven or whatever, and then there's like this tragedy and this. But you know, he wrote all these songs like "Gathered." The Crystal Throne was like one of the songs on that album. I can't remember exactly what the album's called, but I remember being a kid thinking about angels, and that was always interesting to me. I remember going to a camp called the camp was called Mount Hermon.
There's no camp.
Yeah.
Of all camps.
Yeah.
A Christian camp too.
It's prophetic.
Yeah.
And this
right.
memory came back to me like about 2 to 3 years into edit. I remember one day I was editing the podcast and I was just thinking about it. And this memory flashback of being a kid in the Santa Cruz Mountains at Mount Hermon. And there was a Bigfoot footprint that was like part of a skit or the summer theme or something.
Yeah.
Right by the pool. And you had to hike down this trail, go over a creek, go over a bridge, go in these redwoods, and then you go to the pool. And all the campers, all the families would swim there. And there's this Bigfoot footprint. And I remember taking my buddy out to, I'm like, dude, there's a Bigfoot footprint here. And sure enough, years later, there's a Bigfoot museum in Felton, right the next town over. And I remember going into there when I was like 32, 33 years old. And I walked in, I'm like, because I went back to the camp because I had a bunch of friends that lived there. And it was just this nostalgic place. It's really where my faith like hit my heart, you know. It didn't really happen. It's just a mountaintop experience like we all talk about. So went back to that Bigfoot museum in my 30s, talked to this guy, Mike, who ran the museum. He was a Berkeley grad who wrote his dissertation on Bigfoot. He saw him when he was a kid.
Wrote his dissertation.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's a super smart guy.
What do you do with that? What you do is
Yeah.
you run a Bigfoot museum. You
Yeah.
write a dissertation
That's what
on
you do.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
It's
Harry
for-
and the Hendersons. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was for sale actually, like last year, and I was like, Luke, we got to buy it.
No, we don't need to buy it.
But so I mean, that's where Blurry really starts, right? So I kind of realized I'm sort of a nerd for this, but I came out of a band and I had a bunch of friends that were like, you know, big songwriters, guys winning Grammys and stuff. And so a little bit of a weirdo in that sense of like, not like a guy that just lives in his basement and like chases Bigfoot and just doesn't ever enter reality. Like he's just a single guy that chases Bigfoot his whole life and never really grows up. It was like, okay, I've had some success, but nobody wanted to talk about this stuff.
Right.
And there's this aversion to talking about the strange and the blurry. So around 2019, you know, I'm 39 years old. I've been in the Bigfoot trenches for 8 years or so at that point.
In the trenches.
Yeah.
in the
The
trenches.
trenches.
Just
Yeah.
battling it out in the
Yeah.
trenches.
And then I'm thinking, I started listening to Dr. Michael Heiser talk about Nephilim giants and all this stuff. And I started thinking, I had an idea for a Bigfoot podcast for like 4 years at this point. And I thought, there's no way, you know, there's no way to do it. There's a lot of Bigfoot podcasts. What's the interesting take here? And then Heiser started talking about the Nephilim. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's this spiritual aspect to all this stuff. And then, you know, Christians probably have Bigfoot encounters. And where do they go with their stories?
Right.
And they don't want to talk about this because the church is like, Bigfoot doesn't exist. So 2019, got this logo designed. I got a sticker here somewhere.
Oh, here it is.
Sticker.
You gave me a bunch of them. I have a bunch too.
Got this logo design. This is the first time I like looked at this logo.
It's so famous now.
And I was like, I remember sitting in, I bought a house in Hendersonville I had to fix it up. My third remodel, third round of listening to podcasts while fixing up a house. Then it got spiritual. I started listening to all the guys that were like Chuck Missler guys.
Oh, I love Chuck.
All L.A. Marzulli,
Yes.
Gary Wayne, Heiser, all these dudes that were like willing to introduce this aspect to go, okay, now I'm ready for this conversation. So Bigfoot was a start when I was a kid, became a thing in my 30s, and got the logo in 2019, and then sat on it for 6 months. Yeah, I was like, I didn't know, I didn't feel like I was supposed to do this by myself. I didn't feel like this was going to be an easy journey. I felt like Frodo and Samwise Gamgee was in my mind of like, we got to take the blurry ring to
I might
Mordor.
not be able to carry that ring, but I can carry you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Frodo.
So then Luke was tweeting, and Luke and I had a bunch of mutual contacts. We were more acquaintances. We knew our friends were good friends.
But our
Okay.
Venn diagrams overlap
Yeah.
pretty big.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So then the summer of 2020, he tweets about Bigfoot because there was a sighting in like Washington, like DMV highway cam.
Oh yeah.
Really?
And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's awesome.
I wasn't in the weeds like you were,
Okay.
but I just always watched Finding Bigfoot,
Yeah.
which they should really rename Not Finding Bigfoot because
I was the intense guy at that point. It was very intense
Yeah.
because you know something.
Yeah.
You have this mission, this truth you want to tell people. So I
Yeah.
called Luke. I mean, we talked for like 45 minutes about like Heiser and Unseen Realm and angels and demons and Bigfoot and all this stuff. And I'm like, there's a spiritual road here. I can't do this with somebody who's not a Christian. Are you into this type of way of reading the Bible? Because if you're not, you and I are going to clash. It's not going to be good. So he's like, no, I'm open to it. Like, so we launched in the summer of 2020 and then we never looked back. But I can see how God used a lifetime. Like, you're not going to wake up one day and be able to understand these things. Like, it's going to take a little bit of drip experiences, listening to Michael W. Smith's song, going to Mount Hermon, having this thing, this, that, and then getting into Bigfoot and then having experiences. And then, oh, okay, now you can handle the giants. The giants are a big part of the Old Testament. Most Christians don't know that.
Well, it's obviously been amazing, Luke. You guys have just blown up. I mean, you hear about blurry creatures everywhere. It's especially in our space. You walk around, it's like, are you blurry? I'm like, I think. I mean, what
Blurry
does that
adjacent.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But so what was your take on that? You stepped into it, Luke,
Yeah.
and how did that go?
Well, I had a podcast with my brother that was sports variety. I'd worked in the sports world, NBA, was working in corporate America, and I had told the story a lot, but like I had retired the podcast with my brother because he had a new deal with ESPN that we kind of needed to. It was a crazy time. Everybody was like, they wanted to talk about XYZ and Colin Kaepernick and all these things. And we're
Oh,
like,
man.
we're not doing that.
Take a knee. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were like, we're out. And I had written that year like some goals for the year because everyone fails at their New Year's resolutions. So I was like, I'll just do goals, you know? And one was like, I want to do a podcast again because I'm like grinding a sales job, corporate sales job in the tech space. And I'm like, I want to do something that I want to do. And I written this down. And so ironically, I didn't even think about anything. I just thought Bigfoot was funny to talk about on Twitter, you know, and I, which is now X. And so I tweeted and he's like, you want to do a Bigfoot podcast? And I was like, well, yeah. No, I mean, who cares if anyone listens? It's not, for me, it's like, I don't even care about that. I just want to I want an outlet. I want to do something I want to do, talk about things I want to talk about.
I think your sense of humor, it really lined up with it. Almost like a comedian that makes fun of Bigfoot.
Well, you guys
people.
have a great dynamic. I mean,
Yeah.
you're strong, he's fun, and you're both strong, but I'm just saying, it's a great dynamic.
I'm
It is.
the Funkle.
I
I'm the
think
fun
so.
uncle.
But I think if you could make fun of yourself, you
Yeah.
can
Yes,
do
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Okay.
And so I think you had that ability because I think a lot of guys who have some success in some area of their life or get to an age, they really care about how they're perceived. I'm not gonna be the Bigfoot guy. But if you can make fun of yourself, then you can be the Bigfoot guy that makes fun of himself. And then it's like, okay, well, that's permissible. We can do that.
Yeah, but the other side of that is I think we want to take the content seriously. So like being Christians, I think I don't know that we ever had an idea that this would be what it is. And that's the truth. Like there was no roadmap. It was kind of like I said, it was like, I want to do this because it sounds fun. And I need an outlet. And Nate was like, I got this idea and I got branding and I can edit. And I'm like, great, I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
You know, and it
I'm going to need you.
It lined
Just
up.
If it works, I'm
Yeah.
going to need you.
It lined up, but
Yeah.
I think like it ended up
He's
being
got an MBA, so I was like, you have to
Really?
run the business if this works.
San Diego State Aztecs.
I'm going to stay visionary. Yeah.
But I think the cool thing about this is we got to have the conversations we wanted to, right? And these are the same conversations I'd have with my buddies, like with a bourbon and a cigar, sitting around being like, what do you guys think about the mainstream media talking about aliens? Like, but we get to do that, and we get to do it through a biblical construct and paradigm, and talk about and really pervade a vessel where people can encounter the gospel because they're
so
interested in the weird.
They are.
And I think there's this, it just scratched an itch, and really, it's a journey. As Nate said, we call it a journey podcast because we're like hearing the conversations for the material most of the time for the first time as well. So we're just trying to organically be there and ask the questions. But now we've got 400 episodes behind us of requisite knowledge, and so it's been an amazing blessing. The fact that God just in His sovereignty was like, hey, I'm going to use this little like Bigfoot tongue and sense of humor, be like this.
He does have a sense of
And
humor.
the fact that
Yeah.
the fact that we get to share the gospel in this way, though, like sort of backdoor people with the gospel, is like such a cool thing. I'm just really grateful that
the show is obviously super successful, people being touched all over the world. So can I ask you guys a current event question?
Absolutely.
Let's get on that road. When you recognize what's going on with the disclosure that everybody's talking about, I don't know about you, but I get tons of emails from people claiming to be in this secret thing or this government deal or whatever. And they're saying, hey man, I got something to tell you. And suddenly though, we're seeing Trump is saying that they're going to release everything they've got on UFOs, aliens, non-human intelligence. What's your take on that? Have you had any data with that? Walk through that at all?
I mean, we've been hearing about it forever. And, since we started, I think a couple episodes in, when Tim Alberino came on our show, he's probably like one of the better Christian ufologists out there. They like study this stuff. I mean, it's really complicated. It's difficult. So,
I agree.
I had a phone call with House and Habit. She's like a White House. I don't know if you follow her at all. She was big in the last election in terms of, she kind of blew up.
And she got huge by following the Johnny Depp trial of all things. She's like an investigative journalist, and she blew up there. But now she's into these other spaces. But she was told Nate a couple weeks ago that this was in the next 3 weeks, Trump's probably going to do this. And then here we are.
We've been hearing this too. That's why I'm asking you.
So I feel like this is just the pushback from the Christian church about this topic is difficult because Christians aren't there. They would want a show called Blurry Creature. They want one creature out there.
One creature.
There's just only
angels and demons.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Blurry Creature.
Yeah.
And so what we've been trying to do since the beginning is like Blurry Creatures. There's many creatures, and it's for whatever reason, church doesn't want to accept that. So when it comes to disclosure in UFOs, they think, well, the government lies 100% of the time, and it's like, so if the government's telling us it's a lie, and it's like, no, it's not true. There's many heads of the Hydra. Sometimes they tell you the truth. Sometimes they don't know. It's like the conversation I had with Jessica about this was like, the government doesn't run the way that the conspiracy theorists think it does. It's actually there's quite a few dumb people involved. And
shocker. That shouldn't be a shocker. But
and you can't, it's not like a master plan that's like we're unveiling. I do think Satan has his minions at the top, but those people nobody knows about. And so they kind of pull the strings, and it trickles down into sort of the surface government, So, I mean, it's complex. I don't know.
It really is. I'd like to just make a comment about it, that I believe that the church needs to get informed on this stuff.
Yeah.
Because the greatest thing that I believe the agenda of darkness through it would be to devalue the lordship of Jesus, try to turn it into, we all come from this place. It's all that real esoteric stuff, when we really got to keep people on the foundation of the written word of God, and yes, explore all the celestial things, because there's a lot of stuff going on,
right,
beyond just angels and demons,
right.
But we got to stick with the Bible too.
Agreed.
Yeah,
that's where we try to anchor everything too. And I think that we talked about this with Troy earlier, but I feel like Christians want a zero-sum game all the time. And that nothing is zero. So the irony, like nothing is zero sum except for the gospel, right? Everything else is like very nuanced. And I think what you'll hear as this comes out, whatever it is that comes out, it'll be, this is the deception. And you go, this is not the deception. The deception is the narrative that comes behind this.
Yes, Luke.
So that's what I would soapbox and say, like, hey, the existence of this stuff is not new. And there's enough we can trust out there that this stuff is legit. But so to say this is a deception is not it. But what's going to happen with this is the messaging around this. As you said, it's going to be that ancient alien Anunnaki thing. It's really going to be the beast. It's the beast deception. This narrative is going to be like, we are so-and-so, we're here to prevent you guys from destroying yourselves. They're the savior of humanity, or they're the enemy, whatever it is. That is going to be how it's deceived. And I think, as you said, Christians need to talk about this, because this is no longer a tinfoil hat in your basement. It's no longer coast to coast great shows we were kids.
It's not just demons.
It's not just demons. No, especially when you go, the disclosure stuff or the whistleblowers are like, there's biologics. Well, that's weird. So that's a lie. Okay, well, it always has to be a lie then. But if it's not, what do we do with that? Well, I think we can find a lot of things in the scripture that say, hey, just break down angels. And we're not going to do it right here because we've done it on the show, but like the ideas of,
oh, right, yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I mean, the angels
I
do
love it.
physical things.
Sure they do.
Eat with Abraham, wrestle with Jacob.
Psalm 91, in their hands. Yeah.
Dude,
Well, every fantasy story that goes popular, pick them, there's usually a moment where the darkness is coming back and returning, and you have a big portion of the population that doesn't say, no, it's not coming back. It's not here. Like in Harry Potter, like the Dark Lord's not back. Like in Tolkien, Sauron's not returning, or like, the witch isn't here in Narnia, or whatever. It's like there's this population of the people who don't. There's a few prophets that say it's here, it's there, this is what it is, and then most people are like, no, you're crazy, and that really allows the darkness to kind of rally, unite, and then have a pretty massive war against us. So we blow the torch early. That's like, I don't think we wanted to be the two knuckleheads that are like, aliens are real, UFOs are real.
Oh, you guys definitely led
You know
with
how many
this,
texts
man.
I got last night about like, do you see what Trump did?
I can only imagine.
And I'm like, I'm the alien guy now.
Yeah.
The irony is that like when Nate's like, we're gonna talk about aliens, I was like, we're not doing that. That's stupid. No, everyone's gonna say we're, and then it just went, oh, like this is now national discourse. If we don't, as a church, as Christians, have discourse and like real hard conversations around this, then that is going to be part of the deception. People are going to be like, well, this disqualifies my faith.
That's right.
How can I believe in Jesus
Silly.
if these things show up from the Pleiades or whatever they're going to say,
but
right?
you build a framework. So you build a character list. There's all the characters on the chart, and then you understand Jesus is at the top of that, and there's a family in heaven, and then everything's kind of ordered underneath all of that. And so when you talk about aliens and or angels and demons, even Heiser says, these are generic terms. It's not a very defining term. And so Christians get all mad at you if you say, let's define what this is.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You guys are part of the deception. You're welcoming in the new world. So it's difficult. I just think that you have to sort of, the conversation about how to believe about things is the conversation we keep coming back to. We kick that dead horse 1,000 times because people are so visceral, they don't understand. If it's such a great deception, most of us aren't going to know what it is. If it's so great that everyone knows what it is, it's not that good of a deception. So
well said.
Right? Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Everybody knows about it.
Yeah, everybody knows about it. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing with that, and the final thing I would say is it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because, and I'm sure at the point it had played out, but like I'm always surprised at like how ho-hum people are about these kind of things. It's like we've been so desensitized.
It's like a normalcy bias.
Right. You're like, oh yeah, okay. And you're like, do you not, it's almost like the Epstein thing. They're like, the depth of depravity, but they're like, oh yeah, okay, move on. And you're like, well, how are we going to, and this has the potential either to be something like where it just blips and you're surprised it blips, or it could be complete, like earth-shattering, changing. And I think both scenarios need to be contextualized as believers within the scripture and say, this is why we can understand this and have a place for it,
And being a Christian who says it's all a material, like a poof, that aliens aren't real, they're going to actually help people to be deceived, because they're not going to give any framework for how to understand this as a Christian.
Right.
So when they finally see a body, they're going to go, well, you lied to me.
That's what I say.
You told me this was all an apparition. This was all fake. This was all phony. Now it's real.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Christians who are crying wolf on this, and there is no aliens, they're the ones who are going to help a great deception, I think, whatever that looks like.
Man, I think that's really well said. I think we're just getting to the tip of the iceberg on this.
Yeah,
But
bro.
gentlemen,
Yeah.
really, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I know you got a very busy day. I know you've been going from podcast to podcast. Everybody wants a piece of Blurry Creatures. And so
Dude, Joseph, you got to come down and hang with us in studio
Yeah.
because you fit right in.
I love it. Well, gentlemen, thank you. Nate, thank you. Luke, thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a privilege talking to you. I've been looking forward to meeting you a long time.
Thanks.
Thank you
Yeah.
for making time for me today.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
See you
Thanks,
soon,
bro.
guys.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I want to say thank you to our partners. Partners, thank you. We could not fulfill this great commission, which we call reaching 1 million clear-eyed, clear-minded reformers, who will in turn reach 1 billion, without you. Your partnership makes this possible, and your support is so much more than financial. It's a family partnership. And together, we're raising up reformers who see clearly in a culture that's trying to go mad. And through your partnership, you and your family are learning how to overcome, stand firm, and bring light where there is confusion. What you're doing isn't just for you, it's for your family, and it's for the world. Your partnership is shaping culture, strengthening homes, and advancing the kingdom. And from the very bottom of our hearts, we want to say thank you. We're in this together, for them, and for the world, and for Jesus. And if you're watching and you'd like to join this partner family, please go to josephze.com today. And when you partner, we will call you back regularly simply to pray with you. We're not going to solicit you and ask you for things. We simply want to call you to pray with you because I believe together we can change the world and make an impact on society that will be remembered for generations to come. So I hope you go to josephze.com, become a partner, and we look forward to calling you back regularly. Spiritual darkness is not simply meant to be pushed back and held at bay. Rather, it is meant to be punished. That's why I just wrote this brand new book called Punishing the Darkness, Spiritual Warfare That Works. You know, the thing people don't get many times is that God calls you to win every time. He calls you to results-based believing. And when it comes to the powers of darkness that are trying to take over this world, mutilate our children, run this world into the clutches of the devil, God has called you, his believers, to stand up and punish these forces by your faith. When you read this book, it's going to give you effectiveness and the horsepower to push back, even punish the darkness. And it talks about breaking cycles of anxiety, offense, fear, spiritual fatigue, things where it's warfare in the mind, witchcraft, all the things that is happening in the culture. And you've got to recognize that God wants you to rise up and begin to destroy those things of darkness that are trying to destroy your family and you. Even on a bad day, you are anointed to be the very best there is. I hope you get this book, Punishing the Darkness, Spiritual Warfare That Works, at josephze.com today.